Needless to say, within 24 hours of completing this install, we beat the heck out of this steering. The road's clear, I'm coming. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. John here. It's time to start building our dreams, and that's exactly what we've been doing with Project Rampage over the last year. We've been running the 40s for a while, and we're going to upgrade the steering because with 37s, I never swapped out the steering linkage on Rampage. We've got the diesel, and we've got 40-inch tires, so it's a little bit heavier, so it's just a matter of time before we start having issues. And so today we're going to be installing some hard parts from Synergy Manufacturing. Let me take you back a couple of weeks ago when we first met Synergy Manufacturing at the Save Expo. Yeah, so the Save Expo, I think, brought down some new folks. So we're at Synergy Manufacturing with Jade. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks, John. Hey, we're here at the Save Expo, Synergy Manufacturing. So what we do is primarily your Jeep, Ram, and Ford steering and suspension products, heavy-duty kits, so that you can go out and hit the trails with confidence. Make sure that you know that everything you have is going to hold up to whatever beating you put on it. Okay. We're out here with recovery gear, parts, awesome. Heavy-duty alignment plates, all the good stuff to keep you moving forward. Yeah.
I know you guys make the sector shaft brace for the Gladiators too. Do you have any of those here?
Yeah, I got one right here. This is for, you mentioned Gladiator, specifically. So this is for your 20 to 23 Gladiator. Okay. This guy's going to bolt up to your frame, right through your steering box, and it's going to support the whole box and frame. We throw bigger tires on them, lifts. It puts a lot of extra stress on them. So what that's going to do is support that along with your track bar. Okay. So everything stays stable and doesn't twist and flex on you and pull out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Anything new? Because I've never seen y'all's recovery gear. I've always seen, like, you know, the tie rod ends, some ball joints and stuff like that. So I guess the recovery gear is a new line you guys just came out with?
So the recovery gear is kind of just a special line that we essentially have so that you can kind of be all around. Right. You want everything to be as strong as you can have it, but every now and then we get into binds, right? Yeah. So we just wanted to have that as an extra offering, kind of as an all-around, like, get you on the trail, get you out there, and have the safety stuff to go with it. Yeah. Yep.
And I'll just add in there, so I've walked past her booth probably a dozen times at Great Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion and other events. One thing about makes the Save Expo and smaller events unique is you get that FaceTime with the manufacturer, and they can really advise you on your particular vehicle, your situation, and give you, you know, their best product and foot forward for their equipment. So it's cool seeing Synergy coming out. So thanks so much, Jade.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
We appreciate it.
Needless to say, we did spend some money at the Save Expo. So I know it can be a little bit confusing when you order these parts, and I was even a little bit confused at first of what all do I need. So first thing is we've got we're going to start at the gearbox itself. There's only 2 companies on the market that make the track bar reinforcement brackets or steering box reinforcement brackets. And so this is the Synergy one. Some people say, hey, it's not welded on the backside, but really all your strength is on the outside of the bracket. As long as you got good penetrating welds, and it looks like we do, because you can see the weld comes all the way through here, and you can see good penetration down here. And so these welds look really nice, good stacked dimes, good quality finish. And so that's the steering box brace, and basically it's going to go bolt to the frame, and then it's got a collar that sits on the pitman arm, which is a 42 millimeter. We're going to pull out the 3/4 inch drive stuff today. And so that's the best way to, if you got a little bit of movement on your steering box, whether you get the aluminum or the steel, that's a good upgrade. Next one is going down to the actual steering itself is a drag link. And so what I was told by Synergy is all their stuff is in straight line. There's no brackets that bolt on, because anytime you have a bend, you have a potential weak spot. So we've got the drag link that goes from the pitman arm down to the passenger side knuckle, and behind that we've got the tie rod ends. It's pretty dang big, and so the tie rod basically is what holds your wheels together. And talking, you know, I've talked with Synergy, I've talked with Steer Smarts. We just ended up going this route because Synergy happened to be at the Save Expo. One thing you don't want on a steering setup is a jam nut, because that puts stress on these threads. And so this, again, similar to the Steer Smarts, it's a clamp together style. This is Synergy's own proprietary setup. Steer Smarts has their own proprietary setup. The biggest thing is this doesn't put any extra stress on the threads by clamping it tight. This is very much like an OEM setup. Your joints are in a straight line. So the only place you could possibly bend this would be the actual tube itself. You don't have to worry about shearing any other bolts off or anything else. So this is a good heavy duty setup. I think it will do well with the 40s. Synergy is a great brand. They make ball joint suspension setups and everything else. And then the last 2 things is steering stabilizer. So this one uses a stud, and you'll see it when we get there. This will go in where your track bar bolt is on the lower end next to the passenger knuckle. And then this clamp goes on the other side. And so one thing we did do is we use what they call the seat belt trick to lock in the steering wheel. Seat belt, I ran it through the steering wheel just so it doesn't move any, and it keeps it at that straight up and down position while we're doing the suspension. You don't want to damage anything inside the steering box, so that's just one way to, you know, keep everything tight and not moving around on you. The other thing is we've got the Jeep up on jack stands, because we are going to take the track bar loose, but we'll still have all the control arms attached. And if we need to move the axle up and down some to get to the steering box, we can. That's the way we're doing it, and hopefully you guys can follow along. I will say, a way of life. He did this probably 4 or 5 years ago. He did a very detailed install. I thought it was good. I did a little pre-gaming before we made this. But this is a 2023 Gladiator. His is a little bit older, so we may run into some issues that are unique to the Eco Diesel compared to, you know, the gas Rubicon JL that he installed his stuff on. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and let's get this project started. All right, guys, so today we're going to pull out the DeWalt, because we're going to need it for the pitman arm. Definitely a lot heavier than the Milwaukee, but it gets the job done. 1,200 foot-pounds of torque, so it does pretty dang good. Come over here to the bead-lock, pop the tire off. Always easier to come off, put on. And do the same thing over here, and take our tire off. Always in a star pattern. We're burning through some daylight, so I have a feeling we will be using a light tonight. And we're headed to Overland South tomorrow, so it's kind of why we're in a rush doing this. Otherwise, we'd be much more detailed. I want to show off these new tools I got. So I got some Icon jumbo wrenches, and these go 21, 22, 24, and 21, 24, and sometimes even 22 you use a lot on the Jeep. So instead of trying to use a 15, 16 and 7/8, which isn't exactly perfect, I opted to get these, and these are the gear ratchets. So it works like normal ratchet, you just change directions. And so on the back side of this nut, we need a 21 proper direction loose, so counterclockwise like that. All right, keep our nut. And then I like to keep the nuts and bolts together. And you want to kind of stay back because that track bar might pop when it comes out. All right, and the track bar just fell right out. And so you'll need that so you can get to this pinion nut. Before we take these loose, we definitely want to take our pinion nut loose. And they say you may need to heat this. You just want to be a little bit careful that you don't torch anything the wrong way. Because there is some thread locker on there. Ideally, we're going to leave everything connected. And we got the seat belt locked into position. And so we should be able to take an impact and bust that loose if we got an impact the right size. If not, we'll just pull out 3/4 inch wrenches and give it a good ugga-dugga. So it's also a good time to check out your track bar. This is a Clayton track bar. We've had this thing for years and it's still looking in great shape. So this right here is a bolt for the pitman arm, and hopefully I don't drop this on my camera because it is a 42, and we're going to take some. Oh, nice and new. So it actually came loose nice and easy, and it will stay up there. So you can use power tools, but sometimes a big ugga-dugga wrench like this will work just fine. Got rid of the track bar. We're going to try it again. Just the impact here. Now we got some space in here, and you can get the DeWalt impact back in here. Alright, finally got it off. So inside the kit they give you this new pinion nut, and it's going to face down like that. So, and they give you thread locker in the kit as well. So we're going to give a couple dabs of that. I'm not going to do it over the camera because we will take and put it on here, making sure it's facing down. And this has to go up to 184 foot-pounds. So this is a little bit bigger torque wrench than what most of y'all have seen. Most of you are going to probably use a 1/2 inch adapter. Set it to 184 foot-pounds. We're going to have to put some serious torque on this bad boy. 184 foot-pounds. Oh, there it is. Hear that? And I haven't used the 3/4 inch drive stuff since we did the re-gear on the Dodge Ram way before I had a YouTube channel. So now we've got the pitman arm nut on there. That's all torqued down nice and tight. There's 4 bolts right here we're going to have to pull out. This will drop down. They did say take the end link loose, but I think we might have enough room in there to get everything torqued to spec. With Clayton arms, you know, I think it's kind of right there in between. We'll see how it goes. If we run into issues, we'll pull the arm on there, but I don't like having to remove stuff. I don't need to. So now we're going to see if we can get to these 18 mils right here. Hopefully we can get back there to them. I guess some people drop the coil spring out. I really don't feel like doing that. If I had one of those stubby sockets, I'd use that. Okay. Let's see if we can get to this top one here. Hold on to those in case we need them. And then because we've got the steel gearbox. I'm sure we're waking up all the neighbors, but daylight's about to change. Alright, that did drop a little bit, just like they said. And we got our bolts here. I know Way of Life did his, and he was talking, hey, you got 2 longer, 2 shorter, but because we got the steel box, we're going to use the ones that they sent us. And hopefully we don't have to do any grinding. Alright, no grinding needed, so that's good. So we'll just have to Put our bolts on here and run our new bolts back in. And I think it's going to be gorgeous. This is our bag of bolts. And there's 4 really long bolts in here. And those are going to be the replacements for the ones going through the steering box, because the factory ones, they're not long enough to go all the way through the steering box. So factory bolt, as you can see, there's a 1/4 inch, and if you lose that in your steering, you're going to be dead on the trail. And you got 4 long ones, then you got this medium one here. That's actually going to be for the track bar. So we're going to throw this one in the where the track bar goes, just loosely put everything together. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, it's like 4 of these washers. If you compare them in size, you got 2 zinc coated small ones like that. You got 2 large washers like that, which I'm assuming these are probably for your track bar. So we'll set those to the side. You got these 3 here. There's 1, 2 holes, 3 holes. I think these 2 are the 3/8 washers. They're going to go on the side where the shaft goes up through that bracket. So we'll set those to the side. These 3 here, I'm not quite 100% sure about. For smaller bolts, we're going to go through this bearing here. And they do. And so that'll tie into the bracket on the back side. Process of elimination would say that gold goes to gold and zinc goes to zinc. But so we're going to start these. So they got to go through the frame. I guess not all frames are created equal, because one's definitely a little bit tight in there. All right. Start Loctiting these. Okay. That one there started. Red Loctite this one. Just a couple dots. This side here goes through easier. And this one here. Okay. Oh, that joker's heavy. So with the pitman arm and everything on here, this part here is not the easiest. All right. Get that one started. That one's easy now. That one there is almost perfect. I just need to get the washer further down on the nut. Okay, we got that started in there. And this one here, it's a little bit of a pain. I think once we get this one here sent in and started, we'll be good. I'm sure this would be easier if you took your spring out. So that's like a whole nother step though. All right, there's that. All right, I know a lot of guys were saying, hey, do this with the track bar, because you may have to drill that hole out. We've got all kinds of drill bits. Yeah, so that one's good there. So track bar bolt is in. Now we just gotta send these home. So there's 2 nuts on here. The lower one is going to go where this one is. We got our 4 bolts in the top here. Just play around with it, be patient. This one's gonna go through here on the back side, come out this hole, and we may have to loosen these bolts up some. And then this one's gonna go through the top. So we're just going to back these off a smidge. Just so everything's nice and loose. Not too much. Okay. Now that's stuck up there, it'll be okay. But now we can track wire bolt is loose, which is good. We're going to start with our top one. Our top one's going to go in from this side with the nut on the back side, and this one will come out from the bottom. And we may have to go down with the bracket some, beat on the bracket some to get that to line up, which we're used to that type of stuff. Alright guys, so I took and on the shallow part here, ran that one through the back side. Just going to put our washer and our nut. Get that started by hand. Hold the washer on this side. And we got a lock nut. This will go through here and thread into that. And we can just do that up tight by hand. Got it started. And pull this one off here. Alright. Slap some Loctite on that one. And we'll send everything home. So we got red Loctite on everything there. Our lock nut here. Put a 3/4 on the back side of this one. Same thing. Put our 3/4 on the back side of this one. Send this one home. That one stopped. That one stopped. There we go. Now then all we gotta do is come back with a torque wrench to everything. Got a bracket here, just slides over the pitman arm. Slides up into place. And then our two smaller bolts with our fine threads are going to go on here, and we'll torque all this down as the last thing. Kind of doing it in the blind so you guys can see it on the camera. And so that's beautiful. That's what we want. So should keep our box from moving around any. Now we got our big sturdy brace on. Alright, let me go grab the torque wrench and specs. As I know there's a shadow on there, but basically we're going to do all the hex bolts to 60 foot-pounds, and then 99 on the ones that go to the gearbox, and then 50 on the little bitty bolts. So not a whole lot of torque, but good enough. These both go to 60. So slide this one up. But we're at 60. Guys, so we got our digital torque wrench out for this one. I'm gonna do 99 foot-pounds on these. Pretty close. As typical, we're going in a crisscross pattern here. That one's 90. That one's 90. That one's 90. That steering box should not be going anywhere now. We're going to put our 9/16 on here. We already set it up for 50 foot-pounds. 9/16 and 14 millimeter go together, so it's getting close. Well, let's good. Both sides torque down to 50 foot-pounds. While we're in here, we're going to re-grease the RCVs, but quickest, easiest way to take tie rods off. And they should just fall right out like that. On this side, you've got your drag link that comes over, and then you got your tie rod in here. Bust these loose because they typically come off pretty easy. And then if you take and it doesn't want to come out, you get that flush, whack it with a hammer. It's the easiest way to take them out. Okay, we'll leave that one on there so it doesn't drop. And go grab our 18 mil. Bottom here is where our shock absorber goes. Should be at 18 mil. And just take that loose, knock that bolt up. Whack down here. And just so we don't bend anything, we're gonna come over here, take this 18 mil out. Pull everything out. Once we get our Fox shock, that'll go in here. Now that all that's out, you can get rid of this bracket here because it's just kind of, it'll be in the way now. And so those are probably 13 mils, one on the bottom, two on the top, and we can drop that out. So we're gonna do the same thing, we're just gonna give it a whack. You don't want to tear up your hammer, so you don't want to tear up the threads either, so if it comes down to it, you can always turn the nut around. Use our strong hand. Just give it a whack. Use a hammer, and it's good. Yeah, so here we're just taking our nut off, drag link. Hopefully we don't have to use a pickle fork. It's a fairly new Jeep. It's only been on here a year. Alright guys, so we ran into a little bit of an issue last night. The bolt that goes through the pitman arm for the drag link stuck, so we had to go get a pickle fork. All the shops were closed last night, but let me show you what we got going on. So we got the Jeep up on jack stands, as mentioned yesterday. We did do a measurement for the tie rod. We took the tie rod apart. We used extra anti-seize on everything, and so everything will adjust nicely. They do say do not let this end here stick out more than 3.5 inches, so we'll double check that measurement. Right now we've got everything kind of set up. You put a tape measure on the back, put a tape measure on the front, and you just kind of eyeball it. You want it within 1/16 of an inch of toe in. Like a bearing puller on here, unsuccessful to get that off, so we just went ahead, got a pickle fork, and we're gonna give it a good couple whacks. Pickle forks are just one of those things you end up using all the time when you do tie rod ends, because tie rod ends are typically, you know, non-rebuildable for most applications. So we'll get the small one in, now we'll do the big one. Yeah, I should have popped it right out. That thing is seized in there. I have never, I haven't seen one where I've put the whole pickle fork in like that before. That's crazy. And like, we heated it up and everything, so I don't get it, man. Usually 2 or 3 good whacks, it'll just come right off. Guys, I finally got it loose. I had to hammer it all the way in and then pry down with the drag link to get it to pop free. That is crazy. Sucker's really wedged in there. So we definitely weren't having any steering problems with the pitman arm. Just watch your feet below as you take this thing loose. So here's a little side-by-side. Here's the factory drag link, and this thing's actually pretty dang beefy. I will say if you look at the actual rod end itself, it's definitely much thicker and bigger, but the factory tube here is pretty good. They just they probably put the thing in like a huge press and just crimp it. And then the adjuster on this end, the replacement works a lot like that factory adjuster. So almost exact same end, a little bit beefier there. But we're going to pull this apart. We're going to add anti-seize and then we'll stick it in. This is where you're going to get your steering adjustment to center up your steering wheel. Your alignment for your tires is actually the tie rod end. This just straightens up your steering wheel. I didn't think I was going to make it in time. We got the last piece. Sweet. Alright guys, so we're just taking our end here, dabbing a little anti-seize on here. I'm excited because it's meant to be. The steering stabilizer just showed up, so everything happens for a reason. Because tonight we got to drive all the way up to Charleston to Overland South, get a couple hours sleep, go play in the woods, make a great video, and have a great time. And we'll be seeing some other Overland buddies. My buddy Rod from Roki Overland is going to be up there. Hopefully see Jeff. I'm sure we'll see Jeff who runs Overland South. I don't know how many other creators are going to be there. Matt Brody I know is working on his YJ build for Jeep Beach, so it'll be interesting to see who all comes up there. It's so weird going lefty tighty on these things, righty loosey. And this was a little bit hard to thread out, so everything just goes so much smoother when you use anti-seize. Anti-seize. And this is Permatex, you know, anti-seize. They got like the aluminum type like this, and they got a copper type. And all it does is it keeps your bolts from rusting shut together for dirt getting in there. And see, we got a little bit of a spot right there where it's kind of hard to turn, so make sure we lube that up nice and good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take and compare the length on these two, just to eyeball the distance. So you want your bend to be the same as we did with the tie rod end. You take and you make sure these are facing up and down, and then this is basically going to follow that same bend there, and this is going to have basically planes are going to be parallel. And then when you crunch it, when you crimp it down with your nut, if possible, you want to try to align this slot with this slot. What we're going to do here is we're going to try to measure from there to the center. I'm getting 41 3/8 inch. I love these DeWalt tape measures because they just tell you. Like, you don't have to be a genius. And then you can just tell yourself, oh, I need to go a line to the left of 3/8, line to the more 3/8, without having to memorize all that stuff. And at a glance, it makes everything easier. So this one, we're at 41 3/4, so we actually need to go in. We're going to leave that side how it is, and we're actually going to go in with the top side here. A few threads poking out. It doesn't take a whole lot. So again, double check our measurement. It's not rocket science. It's 41 3/8, center to center on the pins, same orientation, and we want these. You can almost go top to bottom, and we're like right there. So once we get it installed, we'll be able to tweak the steering wheel just by adjusting this collar in or out. These are going to be up and down. The bend is going to be over on that side. The adjuster is near your steering box. Clean our gloves off some. Actually pull our gloves for this, because even our hand where we were doing this barehanded is covered in anti-seize. Secret hand cleaner, or if you don't have hand cleaner, or Dawn dish soap. If it's safe for birds, it's safe for your hands, and so we'll use that. And so I've pretty much been leaving the rod ends in the packaging. That doesn't really go in there very well, and we still have to put a grease fitting on the bottom. So we're gonna drop this one out temporarily. Tap that one down. Let that one just kind of rest down here for a minute. Set that in down there for now. Lift up. Get that one started. Then we can lift up on this one. Now I already checked our measurements earlier, but I'm going to try to straighten that up some. Also got to pull this bracket off where the old stabilizer went, so we'll do that real quick. So, see what 13 does. And we got one more on the bottom. Alright. Put everything back where it came from. My thought is when they engineer these, they engineer them with a load on them. So, might as well leave those in there. Alright. May have to switch to the creeper. And this, guys, is the best creeper ever. This Icon big wheel creeper. Perfect for places like this. Just for our track bar here, we're just going to take and replace this bolt with this new bolt here. Make sure it threads in perfect, and it does. And it's 21, so super happy about these new wrenches. We already know this works, so I'm going to set that one down that way. Run our track bar in. Put our flange nut here on the back side. We can run this one down the ground. We don't want it super tight because we still have to attach the other end up there. And we may have to use a strap once we get everything hooked up. So as you look down the front of the axle, we got a tie rod in here, track bar here, and our drag link, we're about to hook that up. So snicking them through, getting a few threads on, and then we'll tighten everything up. Just once we get everything aligned into place. Everything here is looking pretty good. Got started with a few threads on. Make sure we can get to where our cotter pin goes on both of them, and we can. Here with your pinch bolts that you put on, they shouldn't ever interfere. Really, you want to run top to bottom and down. So washer down, washer on the bottom, and your nut. So the idea is, you know, if it comes completely loose, at least you've still got the bolt in there. And we'll add some red Loctite on those. So we got this one tight, this one tight. Let's go hit the other side real quick. And what we want to do is we'll want to get our ball joint ends tight and then do our final adjustments and get those tight. Before we get too far along or forget, we're going to put our Zerk fittings in here for our grease points. We'll just get down, run down snug. We need a little 8mm wrench to tighten those down. You don't have to go real tight, just tight enough. Just basically run them down till they stopped. Grease fittings are kind of a softer metal, so you don't want to overdo it. Again, like most things, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Right is right. Okay. If you ever need to grease these, could replace that with a right angle grease tip. They're pre-greased, so they said do not grease them. And then when you do service, one pump, otherwise you can blow out the boots. Again, you want everything straight up and down, like that. Ratchet on the bottom, and we're just going to send it home. As you can see, there's a lot of play in there. So this thing will find its happy spot. But when you first install it, you want the bearing straight up and down, and you want that straight up and down. And we'll do the final torque and everything when we're all done. So use the ratchet trick there, and we're just going to try to. Now all we'll have to do is red Loctite that and put it on, and now we can take our strap here loose, and we're done with our strap. So it doesn't take a whole lot to pull the and align that hole. Again, everything is pretty much on the way to the front axle, so it's really not a big deal. I don't think I've got a 21mm crow's foot. Okay. So that's pretty good. Alright guys, we went back, we confirmed with Synergy that it's only 55 foot-pounds of torque, so throw our... Alright guys, so we torqued that to 55, and now what we're going to do, we're going to turn it a little extra, because our hole is right here. So for these, typically harder part goes up. We got our castle nut locked in, and we're going to do our top one here on the fitment arm. Okay guys, so we got our cotter pins installed, and so we tightened the far side and this side, and we left this one where we can adjust it as needed. 98, 99. While we're over here, we're going to tighten the track bar bolt. Guys, now that we've got everything lined up here you can see how we're using tape measure. We're an 1/8 inch over 69.5. Back there, we're at 1/8 inch over 69.5. So I think we're actually going to come in with it just a hair. That right there is pretty much square. That's about 16. That's where we want right there. But I think this will give us a good toe, just to double check everything. 71.25 to the outside, 71 and quarter plus 16th, so we're good. Yeah, so we got about 1/16 of toe in, so that's good. That's what we want. It's not too drastic. These are some big tires to go around with, and so next thing we're going to do is we're going to torque down this bolt here and call it good on the toe. Alright guys, so we are doing the final torque over here. Got everything lined up, going up to 99 foot-pounds on this one. Alright, and we're there. So we got this one torqued, this one torqued, this is torqued, that's torqued, and so now we just have to mount our ram, put the tires back on, and then do our steering left and right. I'm pretty happy with the toe in. We got about 1/16 of an inch. Everything should ride nice and square down the road. Hopefully we won't get too much bump steer left or right. And if we need to add some more toe, we can come back and we can do that. Alright guys, we've got to take and put the Jeep back on the ground. 130 foot-pounds on the wheels. So we now have the Synergy system in. I'll show you what the final product looks like. We're going to have to road test it. Here you got the steering box brace. Down here you got the tie rod end and the drag link up in here. Everything is zipped down tight. Added a little sticker for branding. And then it goes over to the other knuckle, ties in, and we mounted the Fox stabilizer. So we'll see how the Fox stabilizer does with the 40s. And so this thing here, it's not moving any, which is good. So once we get out and wheel it, this is close to the ARB diff cover, so just keep that in mind. If you got a thicker diff cover, just you may have to back that off or go with another setup, but so far so good. I like it. Alright guys, so I totally eyeballed this. We just finished the Synergy steering installation. She's straight as can be. Rides so nice. guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you would, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, ring the bell so you get the notifications, and keep coming back for more. Once again, I get to share my dream with you, but the true purpose of this channel is to help inform, motivate, and inspire you to get out there and start building your dreams.